I've done a video on this book before. It's called Occult Theocracy, and it's written by Edith Starr Miller. And on the cover there are occult symbols. And she goes into this two-part volume. This is the second volume. She goes into many orders, secret orders, Masonic orders, you name it, and cults, the occult. And today I'm going to be reading about the Russellites. I've heard about them when I was younger, as I used to be a Jehovah's Witness, and we were going out door to door, and apparently these Russellites were downtown, and they were dressed in black for some reason, and I was wondering who they were. My mom said, those are Russellites. And she said basically that they followed the teachings of Charles Taze Russell. And the Watchtower Society veered away from the teachings of Russell completely, and the International Bible Students kept going along with his teachings, and they still exist today in different names internationally. Jehovah's Witnesses is of the Watchtower Society, but they followed a guy named Joseph Franklin Rutherford. He came up with the name Jehovah's Witnesses. The Russellites, or the International Bible Students, founded 1879. The International Bible Student Movement was founded by Charles Taze Russell from 1852 to 1916. With the object chiefly of attracting the lower middle class intelligentsia of Christian communities such as certain clerical workers, teachers, servants, and persons not accessible to direct forms of propaganda. In America, the movement has had great influence among the Negro element. In 1879, Russell founded the Watchtower, of which he was the sole editor. The Russellite teaching, drawing its own arbitrary conclusions and proclaiming them as final, professes to prove from biblical sources that all Christian churches are evil and corrupt, that the time of the Gentiles ended in 1914, and that the Jews must henceforth reign supreme over the world. It also elaborates on occult dogma alleged to be based on biblical precedents. It condemns the Roman Catholic Church, referring to Rome in true esoteric Masonic style as Babylon, and disposes of the Pope and his entire hierarchy as agents of the Antichrist who are doomed to extinction according to the familiar Masonic formulas of Albert Pike, Mazzini, and company. We are further told, on biblical authority, interpreting the following words in Revelation 2:24 as they speak, that this means that Satan is a name applicable to Rome as describing its characteristics. The Protestant Episcopal and other Christian churches, which in Russell's graphic language are the harlot daughters of the Romish Church, and have committed fornication, which term he interprets as meaning the union of church and state, so bitterly opposed by the Jews in all countries, fare no better at the pen of this prolific writer, who predicts that, under the visible rulership of the ancient worthies, the Jewish Sanhedrin, those Gentiles who still believe in Christ will acknowledge his reign as an invisible one, while submitting as Christians to all the hardships these Jewish lords might choose to put upon them. Brother Russell gives us little hope for the time of tribulation which is upon us. For on page 122 of the finished mystery, he wrecks any hopes we might still cherish with regard to benevolent brotherhoods in the following sentence. As the trouble increases, men will seek, but in vain, for protection in the great rocks and fortresses of society, Freemasonry, Odd Fellowship, and trades unions, guilds, trusts, and all societies, secular and ecclesiastical, and in the mountains, governments of the earth. The publications of the International Bible Students Association are interesting samples of political propaganda and seem well calculated to suppress possible instincts of revolt among such members of the Christian community as might object to the role allotted to them under the Jewish superstate. The present head of this movement is John Rutherford. And down in the notes, that quote taken from the Finished Mystery is from page 43, published in 1918. For the root of this movement, go to this chapter. Okay, I'm going to pause here and read that. So this is taking me to the Independent Order of B'nai B'rith, which is Jewish Masonry, founded in 1843. And it says, B'nai B'rith means sons of the covenant. The covenant being that of circumcision practiced according to the Mosaic law. Hence, the Independent Order of the B'nai B'rith admits only Jews as members. This rite was founded in New York in 1843 by a number of German Jews headed by Henry Jones. Its constitution, district lodges, grand lodges stamp it as a Jewish Masonic society. Like most societies, it covers its political activities under the cloak of benevolence and philanthropy. From its inception until the present time, its main contact has been with Germany and its chief aim, the establishment of the supremacy of the German Jews in all world affairs through the channel of internationalism. In 1882, the strength of the IOBB in the United States warranted the opening of lodges in Germany by Moritz Ettinger, and the growth of the order was so rapid there that in 1885, Julius Bien, president of the order in New York, went over and inaugurated the first German Grand Lodge of the IOBB. The political activities of the leaders of the order in Romania, Austria, and Hungary are a matter of record. Although the chief center of their power is in the United States, where they have lately attained supremacy in the Jewish world by absorbing National Zionism and submitting it wholly to their own international policy when the Jewish World Agency was created in October 1928. It will be well for the reader to bear in mind that however united affront the Jews may present to the Gentiles, yet among themselves they are divided, and the fight for supremacy and the attainment of world power is not less bitter between their various camps than it is among the different sects of Freemasonry. Rabbi Dr. Leo Bach was the president of the B'nai B'rith of Germany in 1928. The Grand Master for Russia of the International Order of the B'nai B'rith at the time of the Russian Revolution of 1917 was Slavsberg. He was one of the inspirers of Kerensky, the leader of the First Revolution of 1917. Alexander Kerensky, real name Aaron Kurbitz Kerensky, having been the name of his stepfather, was a member of the Socialist Revolutionary Party and a 32nd degree Scottish Rites Mason. There is but little doubt now that the B'nai B'rith seems to be the supreme body shaping and directing for the attainment on its own ends the policies, whatever they may be, of all Freemasonry, beginning with the Grand Lodge of England, the Grand Orient and Scottish Rites, and ending in the OTO, which is Illuminism under another name. That's deep. at the end of this chapter, she goes into the development of this movement into another part of this book. What I will do now is I will post a link for what I read beforehand about Charles Taze Russell. So click down below and take a look at that.